What's going on, squids? It's Hank from Nintendome, and I'm back with another Splatoon Tank video. Today, I'm going to be doing an updated version of my Damage Up Tank episode. I'm going to cover everything from the last video and address the changes Nintendo made to weapon mechanics regarding Damage Up in the 2.2.0 update, as well as what I now know about damage tapering off and how the Damage Up ability affects that. A lot of people believe that Damage Up is useless because it will never reduce the minimum number of shots to splat an opponent at full health with a non-charger weapon. For example, a 96 gal deco will never splat in just one hit, regardless of how many Damage Up abilities you stack onto your Inkling's gear. So the fact that so many people wonder about the purpose of Damage Up in Splatoon is actually pretty understandable. Well, the first thing to consider is how the Damage Up ability interacts with the Defense Up ability. Unlike Damage Up, Defense Up actually can influence the number of shots to splat for certain weapons. For example, one Defense Up ability can change the 52 gal from an easy 2-hit KO into a much more questionable 3-hit KO. The best way to counteract this is with the Damage Up ability. By using only one main Damage Up ability, you are bringing the 52 gal back to the base 2-hit KO, even on opponents with one main Defense Up ability. This little interaction causes something that I like to call damage creeping. Essentially, as more people begin to run more Defense Up abilities, other people will begin to run more Damage Up abilities to counter that. The number one thing to keep in mind for something like this, however, is that a full set of Damage Up abilities will always guarantee that you are hitting that base KO number, whereas a full set of defensive abilities does not guarantee that your opponent's base number of shots to splat will increase. Now, Damage Up is useful on some weapons impacted by Defense Up solely because Defense Up is such a common ability. However, the utility Damage Up provides actually extends well beyond this for many of Splatoon's various weapons. Take rollers and blasters for example. These weapons get range and accuracy buffs from the Damage Up ability, respectively. In the roller's case, it increases the damage of all parts of the roller flick. This means that you can stand farther away and still get 2-hit KOs with the roller when you're running the Damage Up ability. In the blaster's case, it increases the splash damage of the blaster's pop. That means that you can miss your opponent by a larger amount and still get 2-hit KOs. In the past, you were able to secure 1-hit KOs with blasters, despite missing your target by stacking Damage Up. However, as of Nintendo's 2.2.0 Splatoon update, you will never be able to secure 1-hit KOs with the blaster without getting a direct hit, regardless of how much Damage Up you stack. Damage Up can now only assist with blaster aiming for splats that take multiple hits. Damage Up is also effective with chargers, as it decreases the amount of charge time required to get a splat. This is especially useful for scoped chargers, as you are now not fully required to scope in and limit your field of view if you want to splat an opponent within your range. Keep in mind, however, that this was nerfed only for the E-Liter 3K weapon line in the 2.2.0 update. While you can still splat opponents before fully charging or scoping in with Damage Up on E-Liters, and now takes much more Damage Up abilities to do so. Unlike its interactions with some other weapons in Splatoon, Damage Up can also reduce the number of uncharged shots required to splat an opponent. For example, 3 Damage Up mains and 2 Damage Up sub-abilities can allow the Squiffer to splat opponents with 2 uncharged shots. Something really important to keep in mind is the fact that Damage Up is also great for mitigating damage tapering. Essentially, every weapon will lose damage output as you move outside of its effective kill range. The damage output is basically tapering off, so a weapon that traditionally gets a 2-hit KO will suddenly get a 3 or even a 4-hit KO because you're too far away and you're just not getting the full damage output out of your weapon. Now, this is to be expected, and it's just a natural consequence of the physics in Splatoon. However, with Damage Up, you can patch that up a little bit, and actually increase the effective splat range of your weapon by using Damage Up to mitigate this damage tapering. It's really useful, and it actually makes Damage Up very viable with practically every single weapon in the game. And beyond main weapons, the damage up ability also impacts sub-weapons and special weapons. I found this to be especially useful with burst bombs. Damage up impacts burst bombs in about the same way it impacts blaster pops. While it will never decrease the number of direct shots to splat, it can decrease the number of indirect shots to splat and decrease the amount of accuracy required to get those indirect shots. Damage up can also be great with things like suction bombs or even the ink strike, allowing you to steal splats that you would otherwise not be able to get. Well guys, I hope that clears up everything regarding the damage up ability. Feel free to share this video with your friends to help them learn about damage up as well. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.